On today's Fellowship of the Rink, we have injuries, and it doesn't matter because the Wild are pushing through, winning without key players. We'll talk about how, and we're going to get into some fun conversation with Eden Prairie native Jackson Blake, now a member of the Carolina Hurricanes. And we'll wrap things up talking about a feature that Joe has coming out with Charlie Stramel, who has now vaulted up the prospect pool, both by virtue of his play and by virtue of those we have sent out, and just what we can make of the current iteration of our beloved Gopher hockey team. Enjoy the show. Welcome back for another installment of Fellowship of the Rink. Joe Smith here, as always. And Joe, it's been a fun time, I imagine, for you and Russo at The Athletic. I don't know if fun is the right word, but at least busy, active. You've always got like 7 Hughes stories in the vault and no shortage of injuries, trade speculation, whatever to write about. You guys doing okay over there? Keeping your head above water?
Yeah, no, it's been fun. Like, and again, the travel schedule has been so weird where I felt like I missed a team for a month because they had that long road trip, right? And they're home for a few days and they're gone for a few, but all my trips coming up as well. But yeah, I think every day is something different, which is what you enjoy about this job. Like when I covered baseball, it was like, oh, it's 162 games. Like, how do you do it? I'm like, you'd be surprised on every day there's something really crazy different. And you can turn the page so quickly from one game to another, right? So that story is gone like 3 weeks ago. Like football, like you have one game a week and all of a sudden you spent the first 3 days looking back, then the next 3 days looking ahead. So it's fun to have kind of the constant news and twists and turns. Like who saw the Wild playing without Boldy, Johansson, and Eriksson Ek for this road trip, right? All of a sudden guys were just staying home because they were banged up, and obviously Boldy missed at least 4 games on air with lower body injury. Johansson out, Eriksson Ek. We'll get some players back in theory coming back when they come home. But yeah, I think anytime the team plays well, guys are in a better mood. So it's easier for us to do our job because we're are in the locker room more. They're just more happy to talk. And B, when you get kind of a national jolt of a Quinn Hughes trade, all of a sudden every day is a different layer, and like everything, it's different because there's excitement around the team, and there's also implications of what happens next, right? They don't just get Quinn Hughes and then stop, So I think that's also, I guess, fun as a writer because you get to different topics you can write about. So yeah, and the Olympics are coming up. So there's a lot of fun things happening around the team, and then there's still like 30 some games to go. So this thing could change quickly. This thing could look a lot different by April 15th. So that's the fun part about the job, is adjusting to the ebbs and flows and twists and turns.
For sure. And you guys already noted, unfortunately, Jonas Brodin out for the Olympics. Do we know any of the other injuries? Like, is Boldy expected to play? Still unsure?
We believe he's going to. I mean, he could come back as early as this weekend, right? I think he has to miss the Red Wings game, but he could be back as early as Saturday. We haven't got any indication that it's a long-term thing. I think Brodin from the start, we were told or understood that it could be put his Olympics in danger. We haven't got that impression yet with guys like Boldy or Eriksson Ek for that matter. And then who knows, Johansson could make Team Sweden if all the injuries that are piling up. He was a guy I'm sure on the "we'll call you" list if there's injuries. So that's something to watch as well. If there are some more. A lot of guys in Sweden are banged up. William Nylander is banged up right now. Obviously, a bunch of guys all on the roster. So we'll see. But that's, as far as we know, the only one that's kind of been pretty much ruled out is Jonas Brodin.
Okay. And injuries throughout the lineup. You mentioned the whole second line out. It's not stopping us. Like, the team is still going out and putting out great efforts. There's 2 guys that I think have been like really key in this push, but I want to hear from you. Like, what do you think is getting the guys through right now?
Well, I mean, you have guys like Marcus Foligno, the hat trick, obviously, the other night in Toronto. Scored got a big goal in Buffalo in a fight there. Like, he couldn't buy a goal in the first 30 plus games. Like, it was a major slump, and it wore on him, right? 'Cause the team was struggling and he wasn't doing as much as he could, even though he's not, his role isn't to score goals, but he's capable of doing it. And that slump kind of wore on him. So for him to have this kind of huge moment at a time when they really needed him because the guys that are out was big. And Ryan Hartman stepping in on the role with Kaprizov and Zuccarello. He's scoring the last week or so, number of big goals. Yurov has continued to progress to where he's, Tarasenko, where he's a guy who goes from really, in a slump to like red hot. Then all of a sudden you forget about him. Then all of a sudden, a game like Toronto, 2 goals plus the unselfish assist to Foligno for the empty netter for the hat trick. So I think you need, especially with guys like Boldy, Eriksson and Johansson, 3 really key offensive pieces out, especially in the power play, have those guys step up as kind of really, and then obviously Quinn Hughes, we can talk about him every podcast, but like he feeds a lot of what's going on. I think the fastest Wild player to 20 points, I think, in his, as he joined the team. So it's pretty impressive to see, because this trip was a big one because they had such a horrible homestand. They didn't look good at all. They went with 0-2-1, and then this is a tough schedule against Buffalo, Toronto, Montreal. That's a makings of a losing streak right there. And to win in Buffalo the way they did, and then to win in Toronto convincingly as they did, certainly showed kind of signs of life and mental toughness from a group that in previous years, like year before when Kaprizov had that great first half, they had all the injuries and kind of fell off the wagon and barely into playoffs by the last 20 seconds of the season. So it was encouraging to see them kind of rebound at that point.
Yeah, and it's funny because I expected there to be a little bit more of a speed bump for these guys with the injuries, and I'm like kind of thinking in the back of my head, like, you never want to lose. It's never good, but like, man, can you imagine a world where we slip out of the divisional race and end up being a wild card and go through the Pacific path instead of having to play Dallas and then Colorado? It's got to at least be on your mind.
Well, they just passed Dallas, I think, last night too. But yeah, I think, but then you slip to that other division, all of a sudden Vegas wins, and then you're playing Vegas in the first round. They just got, Rasmus Anderson, who knows what they're going to do by the deadline with all this created cap space, So I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think the Wild are at this point just ready to, like, whoever they play, they feel like they're a different team from previous years. So in ideal world, you maybe avoid the Colorado-Dallas gauntlet, but then, do you want to play McDavid and Draisaitl in a 7-game series and roll the dice, that you can stop them? So I think every matchup's going to be tough. They just want to get in there healthy, and that's the most important thing, I think, for the Wild is they have the pieces, they have the group, they have the goaltending. Like, can they go into a playoff series with Joel Eriksson out healthy? Can they go in with Brodin relatively healthy? I feel like he's always day-to-day, like making sure Kaprizov and Boldy are playing at a good level. Like, how many times in the last 4 years have you like, oh, if they only had healthy for this, or if they only had this, like that's where it really feels like it wears on a lot of Wild fans afterwards. Like, well, this could have been the year, but.
Always a but. So let's talk then about the buts, because you brought up the Anderson trade. You didn't bring up, but also have to note the Kiefer Sherwood trade, which you and Russo had kind of indicated Wild were still hot on that trail.
On Sherwood, yeah. I mean, I think they had showed interest like early on, especially. And then like the price, I think, was really high at that point. I think they were asking for like a first plus a prospect or something like that. And I think they got a couple seconds and a player in this one. So I think they were still of interest or of note. I think there are probably other names out there that, if you're gonna make more of an impactful move for this deadline, that they might look at. But clearly, this deadline with not a ton of options that are realistically out there, I think the prices are going to be pretty darn high for what I think the Wild are looking for, which is what every team would love to have. This is a top 6 capable center. So I guess it's buyers beware on that one, right? Like, you got to, if you think you only have one shot left in terms of a number of pieces you have in terms of trade chips, like you don't have a lot of left in the cupboard as far as tradable assets that are people really, really want. So now you're like, okay, do I trade this package for a player X versus what if somebody's available in the summertime that's a bigger name? Or what if, like, don't blow it all on a player that could make you marginally better, even though this playoff is important, if you think it's a game breaker or a difference maker, then by all means. But if you think, oh, what if this bigger name guy is available this summertime, and all of a sudden you just trade everything for that? Like, what do you have to move? So that's where I think the intersection between patience and aggressiveness is, because as much as Guerin wants to do more this year, wants to go all in, is going to be able to want to do that. You got to know that, with the way the roster is constructed and you have this window, like who could be available for the big swing, and what do you have available to trade for that? So the Quinn Hughes trade certainly deleted some really quality players and tradable assets that they had, and obviously it's been a trade they certainly don't regret.
Yeah, not at all. And so, from your perspective, does this feel like a year that you have to win the first round? Or like if you play Colorado or Dallas and they're bolstered and you lose in a spirited 7-game series, like, is that acceptable at this point after making the Hughes trade and the position you're in with the fan base? Can Guerin get away with losing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's getting let go if they lose in the first round again. I think just the pressure mounts because it's not just, it's for him, it's for keeping Quinn Hughes and giving him an idea that they can compete and being a Stanley Cup contender. So I don't think he's like let go if they do lose in the first round again, depending on how the circumstances involved in it. But I do think the pressure mounts after that, and I do think from a big picture perspective, it would be a failure if they don't win a first round series. I think the time has come. I think they waited long enough. I think the players have waited long enough. I think the fans have waited long enough. I think we're at this point where I guess you hate to say a must-win series, but like it's been 10 years, and this is the best team that they've ever had, arguably, right? A number of players in the roster when healthy, and they're building towards this as the next couple of years, next 2-3 years are really a sizable part of their window. So, yeah, you need to show signs of progress, if not only anything else, but to get that mental block and to get people from stop asking questions about the getting out of the first round, the proverbial hump or whatever. So show some sign of progress. And once you get out of there, be amazing what that could do for a psyche of a team, right? Once you're in there, it's like, okay, they win that first series, and they go against Colorado as an underdog. Like, they're playing with house money. Like, who knows what could happen, right? So I think that first round thing for a lot of the core players, not the Hunter Hates or the Yurovs or whoever else, like, or Tarasenko's, but it's the Folignos, the Hartmans, the Spurgeons, the Brodins, the Eck. Like, they've been there and they've lived it for a decade plus, right? So this would be, I think, a huge moment if they could do that, because I think it's really important for where they want to go and who they want to keep and who they want to sign.
So you mentioned before, like, the right player is absolutely worth going out and getting. I'm absolutely on the same page as you with that. I'm wondering who stands out, because there were several guys on the article that you and Russo put together. Who stands out to you as guys that you're like, yes, like, if this is the guy we get, screw it, I'm okay maybe not having the ammo to make any extra hay this summer?
I mean, I think Robert Thomas would be high on my list for that. And I don't think, and people say, like, will the Blues trade him? I don't think they're wanting to trade him. But I think I don't know. I just think that if you want to empty your cupboard, it's for a guy like that who's 26 with years on his contract, who could be number one caliber center, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Vincent Trocheck is a guy that would have interest in, but is he a guy you want to? They're going to ask for a lot for him. He has 3 years left on his contract. He's still a valuable player. So I think, is he the guy? Is he a difference maker for you? Is he put you over the top? He's very capable. He gives you a right shot in the power play. But is he the end all be all? I don't know. And then once you trade whoever else for that, he's not a guy you would trade a Jesper Wallstedt for example.
Yeah. Well, and that's my question too, is the proverbial cupboard you mentioned. What's in the cupboard? Like, are we talking Yurov, Wallstedt? Is everyone on the table, or is there anyone that you're at this point, like, it's hard to say that anyone's untouchable after you trade Z Buyam, but like, is there anyone that you think the organization is very hesitant to part with?
Well, I think one of those guys is Yurov. He's progressed so well, especially after trading Marco Rossi. It's hard to imagine trading like 2 of their top center prospects in one calendar cycle. He'll be cheap too for the next few years. He showed he could play top 6 minutes in his rookie year. So I think they would be pretty hesitant to include him in a package. So as for Wallstedt, and I'm not trying to here to make waves or say he's being pushed or shopped or anything like that. I just think if they're going for a top level guy, that's what people are going to ask for. And whether the Wild would trade him, I don't think they want to trade him either. I think they want to keep him, but I think the fact that you have Gustafsson signed and Young under contract for the next 5+ years gives you a little more insurance that you're okay in that, and that if that person, that 1C or whatever is available, then that could help you. But by no means are they rushing to trade him or want to get rid of him or dangling him. I just think that you have to be realistic when you go for big swings like you do with Quinn Hughes. Other teams not going to ask for the scraps, right? They're not going to ask for your B and C level prospects, and like it or not, what Jesper showed, he could be a goalie of the future here. He could be a game changer as far as a trade perspective. I think they'd be very happy to keep him, but especially if there's nothing that's really moves the needle this deadline cycle. But you watch that Quinn Hughes trade. I thought Z Buium was close to untouchable for a young player that around this franchise. So that's just kind of, where things have to be. People always say Wayne Gretzky got traded, if anybody got traded, anybody else could get traded. But there's certain different,
a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I'm with you that Wallstedt is tradable. It is okay. I'm very, in principle, opposed to that just because we've seen the goalie voodoo track. Who knows who's on between Gustafsson and Wallstedt going into the postseason? Who knows if a goalie gets hurt? But on your list, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Robert Thomas is the only player you guys listed where I'm like, okay, if Wallstedt's got to be part of it, I guess that's what it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, unless you say is Sidney Crosby available for the next 2 years? I don't think he's available. But
they're in the chase right now. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think him or Malkin are going anywhere. No. I'm saying yes. I think you go for a top level guy. This is not. You don't trade him for a Panarin or a Trocheck or a JT Miller or whoever else, Stamkos or whatever else it is. So, and I would not be a huge advocate of trading Jesper either, because I think goalies are so hard to find. And people make wrong decisions on goalies, that cost the franchise for a long time. Look at what other teams have been trying to figure out and finalize. Edmonton, Ottawa traded Gustafsson, and they're probably regretting that decision every day. So you gotta be really careful with that. But I also know there's a certain window here or a certain level of pressure or excitement or, feeling around the team that this group can be special. And if you don't want to be the guy that looks back 5 years from now, if we only got this player, this is what, we had a chance to do. So that's the only caveat of okay, you had to give to get, but it'd be hard for me to imagine a scenario that shows up or that comes to fruition in the next few weeks or anything.
Yeah. And so the last piece on that, do you see anyone that is maybe a cheaper ad, someone that's more affordable, doesn't wipe out our assets, so we can still have fun this summer, but also at least give a little bit of solidification to the center depth? Is there anyone out there that makes sense, or do you feel like everyone on your list is still going to take a pretty high ask because it's a seller's market?
Yeah, it's tough to know what everybody would warrant. I thought maybe on that particular thing, like a Ryan O'Reilly or Braden Shen. I don't know if those guys, I don't even know if those guys are getting moved. I don't think, the Predators are on a conversation for a playoff spot too. Does he want to move or, Braden Shen's offensive numbers have been down. He's their captain there. But if you want to find somebody who is capable and versatile and able to play the top 6 position, if you're looking for something that's not going to cost you your top guys, I know Kotkaniemi is out there. Other people don't really move the needle for me, but even Tuck would take, and he's a winger, he would take more, I think, depending on what the contract extension might look like. So, but yeah, there's not a lot of bargain bin names on our list that we were looking for, because I think if you're the Wild, why even do that? Why even add a so depth player? Give up anything for that, because you already have a really good team. So they're not missing, quote unquote, a depth fourth line winger. They're missing
Totally
that impactful piece. So I wouldn't work around the margins just to add just for the sake of adding. Makes sense.
And so it's safe to say that pretty much anyone the Wild are going to acquire, the starting point for the conversation is first round pick.
2027 first round pick. I mean, I think that they already traded their last couple of first round picks, right, with the Yurov and the Quinn Hughes deal. So it'd be 2027. I'm sure Garen would be open to that. I think they trade the next couple of seconds too, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I think that would be one that I'm sure they would be open to dealing. And then you have, Charlie Stramel has been been the best player from Michigan State, arguably. Really been a big turnaround for them. He's a guy that I'm sure teams would ask about the Wild could have as an option. You have the other guys like Adam Benak and Ryder Ritchie, and you have the Hates and the Heights and other guys, but they're not like A-level prospects, right? But I think you have other guys in the system that could be of interest to other teams. David Spacek, who made his NHL debut recently, that people from the Czech team love. He'll be in the Olympics, obviously, in a few weeks. So they have options of guys they can move. It's just more so that they're, especially if they want to hold on to guys like Yurov and Wallstedt, the level of prospect in terms of the greater potential are not quite as high as they had been in previous years.
Yeah, and you got to wonder too, all the looks that Hate's getting right now, how much of that is potential window dressing to be like, hey guys, this is someone, you can come get him.
Who's that?
Hunter Hate, the way he's
played. Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt to give them a look or Spacek a look, right? People hadn't seen him in the NHL lineup. They needed him because of the injuries, right? But why not give him a shot when Yurchek's already played a bunch of games? Or I've been a proponent of Hunter Hate playing before this, as much as they love Ben Jones. I think Hunter Hate, even though he didn't show as much in his first couple of games with the team early in the season, he looks a lot more comfortable the last couple in the road trip. So that's been good for them to see, as a guy who realized, okay, this is what the NHL is like, what I need to work on, and then I don't feel quite as in awe as I did before. And he certainly looked the last couple of games like a guy who can play NHL games.
For sure. Well, we'll circle back on one of the guys you mentioned there, Charlie Stramel, and his ascent on the other side. But before that, we have a great interview that we banked with one Minnesota native, Jackson Blake of the Carolina Hurricanes. This interview is brought to you by our friends at Waggle Golf. Waggle Golf believes what you wear on the course should reflect your individuality, who you are, where you're from, your hobbies, interests, and passions. All the stuff that makes you, well, you. That's why every design is inspired by the desire to create a piece of apparel that strikes a chord when you see it, that makes you say, wow, that was made for me. Because in a lot of ways, it was. Ready to get your waggle on? Go to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 at checkout to take 10% off your entire order. Joining the show today is one of us, having represented Eden Prairie High School at the infamous state tourney. Then he betrayed us, turned his back to us, going to North Dakota. We'll talk about that. But now, member of the Carolina Hurricanes, Jackson Blake. Jackson, appreciate you jumping onto this, man.
Yep, thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. As you can probably see, the name of the podcast is Fellowship of the Rink, which is a stick tap to Lord of the Rings fandom on our end a little bit. I wasn't sure, are you a Lord of the Rings fan, or do you have any movie series, TV series, things that you're really into?
No, not a Lord of the Rings guy, but I mean, a little farther away from that. Friends. I mean, Friends is my goat of shows. I watch it even to this day, every single day. I mean, just the humor behind that show, and every character so good. So I mean, I think it's the greatest show.
Well, here's the tough debate then. Who is the best character in the show? Because I have a strong opinion on this, and I get a lot of flack.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been able to come up with one. I feel like every single one has their own purpose in the show. I mean, I'm a big Jennifer Aniston fan in this show. I mean, I'm sure a lot of
I think
guys
all of us are.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's hard not to be. And then Chandler, so Joey. I mean, I would probably honestly go Joey just because how funny he is. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I feel like it's having a favorite kid. You don't really say it. Maybe you have one, but you don't ever really say it.
Which one do you identify with the most with? Which character do you identify the most with?
I actually talked to my family about this. I say I have a little bit of everyone as a joke, but no, I don't know. I think maybe Chandler just because I like to crack some jokes once in a while, and I don't know. I honestly, I don't really have one, honestly.
I'm a fan of the dry, sarcastic humor. I don't know. I think that like the lines and like humor from Joey and Chandler are awesome, but I feel like you couldn't have the show without the role filled by Ross.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think him and Rachel make the show with their kind of ongoing whatever they got going on there the whole show. So,
well, let's go back a little bit to just kind of upbringing in hockey. You get a really fun approach to it, being that you're like one of 1% of the 1%, where you're playing in the NHL, and so did your dad. What is it like having a dad that played in the NHL?
Yeah, super special, obviously, to have a guy who went through it, and for it to be your dad is unbelievable. And I mean, I've said this before, but when you're growing up and going in the locker room, you just think that's the norm, right? You think like, oh, everyone's dad plays in the NHL, and you get to just go hang out with guys like, when he was playing, and when I remember, it was like Teemu Selanne and Corey Perry and Bobby Ryan. I was a big fan of him, and just going in there and playing chow with Bobby Ryan. He'd come up to my room if we had a house party or something like that and play NHL with me. It was unbelievable to have him through that, and then I mean, obviously now to play and to have him to go to for advice or anything, and we still watch film once in a while. He's always got something to say, whether it's a good game or bad game, which is good. I mean, he cares, which is good. But yeah, like you said, to have him play and go through what I've gone through, and just go to him whenever I need advice, it's really special.
Yeah, it seems like that special bond with Bobby. I know it's like, how does that kind of develop, or what made you guys click, you think, among all the guys that you were kind
with
of around?
Bobby?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was like 8 or 9, so I was really young, and I mean, Bobby was pretty young too, just coming first couple years in the league. And he was my favorite player. I think my dad was like my 5th favorite player on the team, and I always told him that, made sure to let him know. But yeah, I just loved watching Bobby play, and he was so nice, so good to me. I mean, it's little things like that you remember of guys like that. And I try to do that to this day, to help as much as I can with other kids or the community or stuff like that. And because it's the little things that matter, and he did those so well, and I noticed. And I mean, that's probably one of the reasons he was my favorite player, even though he was so good on the ice.
And as far as, I mean, you said that your dad's really helpful now, doing some film review, anything you need. How hands-on or hands-off was he kind of growing up in hockey?
Probably the most hands-on you could honestly get. I think, maybe he saw something that maybe there's something there in me, and he said pretty much just committed his life to helping me become not only the hockey player I am, but the man I am. Just he was really hard on me, but it's a good hard, right? Because he saw something, I think. And I mean, he was not afraid to tell me what he thought, which I think was good. But he was always there, and it's always positive, right? If he didn't say anything, I knew he didn't care, and so he was saying it all the time. And he's helping me out, and I mean, I would be nowhere close to where I am today without him. So,
and there's one name that I have to bring up, and it was even before Anaheim. They only had 1 year overlap, but whenever I see that lines crossed between any player and Phil Kessel, I gotta ask, like, have you gotten any stories passed down from his time playing with Phil?
No, honestly. I mean, he liked Phil though. I mean, I've asked him that before. But no, I haven't really talked to him too much about that. I mean, he said he liked him a lot. He said he went on some road trips and it would just be him and Phil eating dinner together or something like that. So he liked Phil a
I
lot.
need those stories.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
your homework assignment for next
I
time we
know.
meet up.
I know. I'll ask him. I need to ask him more stuff, honestly, about when he's playing.
Awesome. Well, let's talk then high school hockey. I mean, your fans out there, new fans in Carolina and really across the country, most people just don't quite understand. Like, what is it like playing at a big time program like Eden Prairie in Minnesota high school hockey?
I mean, playing high school, I think, will always be my favorite hockey I've ever played. I mean, you play with guys who you grow up your whole life playing with, from squirts to peewees to bantams and then to high school. And then to do it in front of your school and play against big teams like Edina, Minnetonka, all these really good teams. It's nothing will ever beat it. I mean, playing at the Ralph maybe might, but high school is just a different breed because it's guys you grew up with and guys you played with your whole life. And I mean, we probably got a lot of stuff for this, but we would literally skate from one end of the ice to the other just to go to the student section and sell in. I mean, I think it's only appropriate to do that. I don't even think it's appropriate, honestly, to do it in high school, but that's what we did and that's what it was about. So, I mean, I went to a high school game last year and they did that one time and it gave me chills just seeing that because, you can't do that anymore and no one's going to do that anymore, right? But it's just a whole different breed of hockey. It's so fun and like I won too to do that with your buddies. It was super special. So I don't think anything. I mean, unless we win the cup, we'll beat that. So
yeah, I can imagine. And I know you played with Luke. Any overlap with John too?
Yeah,
The middle staff.
Yeah. I played with
talk
John.
about those guys because they just continue. Whenever Joe and I have different Gopher players on, those are two of the first names to come out for like these are just the best dudes.
Yeah, I mean, those are two of my best buddies. We hang out, we work out together in the summer, and we play golf every single day in the summer. Luke especially just because he same age as me and growing up with him and playing on the Blades together and playing on the teams together. But yeah, I played with John too. My sophomore year, we were line mates too. Those two are just like you said it right there. They're two of the best guys I think I've ever met, and they'll be my best buddies for life, I think. And they're two unbelievable players too. I mean, I think I think he'll play in the NHL next year. He's so good. And I mean, I can't wait to golf with those guys again soon. Those guys they're unreal. We're already talking about drivers and stuff. Not that I'm excited to play hockey right now, but it's always good to get the mind off hockey once in a while and talk about golf and stuff like that. But those two are unreal guys.
That's great. Jackson, I'm from Michigan originally. Then I covered the Lightning for a long time in Tampa, some Cup teams. But when I came here in 22 to cover the Wild and NHL, they were telling me, like, you got to go to the state high school tournament here. It's just different. It's insane. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm sure. Like, it's great. I'm sure it's a fun, a passionate thing. Like I think about the state tournaments in Michigan are a little different. Like that. I'm like, okay. And so I went there and I was like, it was sold out crowd. Like you mentioned, the student sections, like the goals where the guys were jumping against the boards, like opposite side. Like you saw all the time. And I was just, completely. I'm sure you growing up, you saw that, so you weren't surprised when you actually lived in it. But like, what was that moment like? Twice, I guess, playing in the state tournament and doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole different breed. My sophomore year, we were fortunate to go, and we made it to the championship. We didn't win, but I mean, just right when you step out on the ice in warm-ups, and just see those. I mean, I've never played at the X before then, and see those bright lights and warm-ups and see the crowd just absolutely jam-packed. I think it was like our first game was at like 1:00 on a Thursday, and it's like, don't these kids have school or something? But they don't go to school that week. That's optional for sure. But yeah, I mean, nothing beats it. I mean, for me, I grew up in Minnesota, so I got to go and watch it growing up, so I kind of knew what we were getting into. But I mean, that tournament is something else, something special for high school kids, and then kids growing up to go to that. And and see it is just unbelievable. And I mean, my junior year, we won it. I mean, it was COVID, so it wasn't as many people there. I think there was only like 3,000 people there, which wasn't as fun. But I mean, just to win it, no one will remember that there was only 3,000 people there, right? We'll say there was 20,000 there. But no, that was a super fun tournament, and to win it, I mean, I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
Not just win it, like you scored the OT winner, right? Like I'm sure like 20 years you tell your kids, oh, there's 25,000 people at the X and I scored the double OT winner.
Yeah.
And like, this was like bigger than any Stanley Cup goal I could score, so.
Yeah, I hope we can make it to the cup. But yeah, I mean that goal, my dad even asked me like, what's more exciting, that one or your first in the NHL? And I mean, I would probably say the overtime one, just because that's what you dream of, right? You go out on the sport court at night by yourself, and you dream of doing that, right? You dream of scoring the overtime winner in the state championship, and to actually live that. But I mean, obviously, credit to the boys, and to live that out is truly special.
That's the correct answer. I mean, Jackson, we've been talking for like 12 minutes now. Really nice guy. Tell me, how do you end up going to a school like North Dakota?
That's where the nice guys go, is North Dakota, right? The other ones go to Minnesota. No, I mean, it's pretty set in the stone, I think, after, I got an offer to go there. I always wanted to go there. My dad played there, and, I went to a game when I think it was like the year after they won the national championships, 2017 or 2016-17 season, and seeing Besser play there and Josti, Kajula was gone, but Schmaltz was still there too. I just fell in love. I was only, I want to say 13 or 14, and I was like, this is where I want to go if I get an opportunity. I want to go to North Dakota, play in front of 13,000 fans every night. And then, they offered me. I had a couple I was pretty young, so I kind of just knew where I was going. And I mean, I'm so glad I went there too. This is the best 2 years of my life, probably.
I mean, you hinted at it earlier. As much as I want to like sit here and like tease you and give you crap for North Dakota, I don't think I've ever had experienced a better atmosphere at a hockey game than Gophers, North Dakota at the Ralph. Like it's insane. Like, what is it like playing there every weekend?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, that was the biggest. I still get nostalgic thinking about that, right? Like, just I'll never get to do that again, and it kind of sucks a little bit. But I mean, that student section is, oh my gosh, you definitely don't need a map after you score where to go. You know where you're going after you score. It's right there. And I mean, like you said, those Gopher games, I only got to do one weekend at home against the Gophers, but it was crazy. I mean, they were throwing, I think after we won on Saturday, they're throwing like dead Gophers on the ice, and I mean, it was super cool experience. But that's how it is every game. I mean, Gopher one means a little more just because of the history and how big that rivalry is. But I mean, playing them at home was unbelievable. But playing every game at home was unbelievable. I think the first time I walked out was against Manitoba in an exhibition game, and I had chills walking out, just seeing the student section, seeing all the people there, national anthem, just taking it in a little bit, and definitely miss playing there, but glad I got to.
I think everybody thinks they have a great hockey culture, in college, like Minnesota. I went to school at Michigan. The Yost was a special experience to go there as a student. Like, what is it? How would you describe, what the culture is in North Dakota in terms of how the players are treated, how you're looked at, like what the tradition is like there that makes it kind of unique in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I had a guy, I forgot who told me this, but after one of our games, he came up to me and he said, just so you know, when you go pro, it's going to be a downgrade. And I was like, what? Like, really? Yeah, he's like, nothing will ever compare to how you get treated here. I mean, it's probably like you go to Alabama or Ohio State or something like that for football. That's how it is at North Dakota. It's you're getting treated so well. You fly everywhere private. You get 3 meals a day at the rink. You know, everything's right there for you. Whatever you need, you can probably get it. And I mean, you're treated like gold there, which it's such a blessing. Obviously Ralph donated a lot of money for that to happen, and super special. I mean, that was another reason why I wanted to go there, right? You're literally treated so well there, and it's like it gets you ready to go to pro for sure.
And I'm sure NHL, of course, was your dream as much as North Dakota was special in high school hockey. To get there, I think, you caught some people by surprise, I think, your rookie year in terms of not just playing, but sticking and then playing so well. I was wondering at what point did you realize, hey, like, I belong here? Was it exhibition game? Was it the first game? Like that, hey, like this feels normal to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like there was a lot of question marks coming into camp that for last year, I guess, whether I was gonna be there or not. I mean, I think there's probably 95% of the people thought I was gonna go to Chicago, right? But I believed in myself. I thought, I didn't sign after 2 years of college to not give myself a chance to go play in the NHL right away. And yeah, I think preseason, I think a couple games in, I really believed in myself, and I thought, hey, I think I can stay and play in the NHL. And I was just like, my mom actually told me that she's like, just give them a reason not to get you to go to Chicago. And I was like, that's a great. I mean, it's simple, but it's a great
Mm-hmm.
speech, right? It's a great little thing to think about. And I'm like, I'm gonna whatever it is, I'm gonna work as hard as I can at it, whether it's practice or it's a game. I'm just gonna do it at 100% and just see what happens. And obviously thankful for Rod and the staff to give me an opportunity to stay there right after camp, and just never look back since.
And when they actually tell you like, hey, get an apartment, it's like a rite of passage for a lot of players. Like get the letter, right? I don't know if it's a letter
Yeah.
anymore. They probably just tell you, hey, get an apartment. Like,
hmm
what was that FaceTime call with your dad and your brother like when you kind of zoomed in and said, hey guys?
Yeah, no, I know it was special. I mean, I think he was a little anxious though to tell me because they told him before the Vancouver game, which was the last one of our 2-week road trip, and Vancouver is an absolute hike to Carolina. I think it was like a 6-hour flight, so we got home at like 7 a.m. So I went to bed till 2, and he's like, dude, get up. Like, what are you doing? He's like, get up. He's like, I'm gonna call you. I'm like, okay, like, why are you so, what's wrong? Is something going on? And he FaceTimed me, and I look in the back and I see my little brother recording. And I mean, he told me there, and I mean, that was just as special as making the team out of camp right away. Just knowing that you're gonna stay and to get a place, it was because you don't know if that's gonna happen, right? They could send you down at any point, and they could keep you there. So to hear those words was definitely special, and happy that they gave me the chance.
I like asking guys this. I asked Celebrini this. I'm like, what's your welcome to the NHL moment? And he was like, I was in the faceoff circle with Brady Kachuk, and he was talking me up and giving me some praise, and then he elbowed me in the corner like the next shift. I'm like, okay, I'm here, boys. Like, did you have a favorite welcome to the NHL moment where it became more like, holy shit,
Mhm.
this is here?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple. I think I know some welcome to the NHL moments are like getting hit pretty hard, something like that. I mean, mine might have been in my first second game at home last year was against New Jersey, and I loved watching Jack Hughes the last couple of years. Just the way he plays is try to implement a little of his game into mine as much as I can. But just seeing him in warmups and kind of just glancing once in a while, and then seeing him was pretty cool. And then Crosby a couple games later, like every game you're playing a guy you grew up watching. So that's pretty cool. But I think mine was when Zadorov just absolutely hammered me when I cut across the blue line one time, and I was like, oof, yeah, that one you don't want to run into him. Try to stay away from that guy. He's big, but
He big.
yeah, he's big. Probably those. Those are a couple. Just seeing guys and then getting hit by Zadorov.
And you bring up Jack Hughes. I am just kind of curious. Whenever a blockbuster trade goes down, like what is it like on your end of things? Like, does your locker room talk like, holy shit, like what just happened? Vancouver, Minnesota made this trade?
Yeah, there's a little talk. Not too much, but I mean, because those rarely happen, right? Like those ones like Quinn getting traded. I mean, that guy, top two defenseman, I think in the whole entire league, him and McCarr. But it is crazy when those happen. because they rarely happen. Like last year when Netchie and Jacko got traded, and we got Rance and Halsey, just trades like that they rarely happen. So when they do, definitely some chatter goes around, and um, it's kind of exciting to see those once in a while, though, just to see big things happen like that around the league.
It seems like Brindamore, like I've been around him a lot, just a unique guy, way he does things. One of the best coaches in the NHL, like in my opinion. Just you have a favorite story behind the scenes of Rod, like a speech, or like does he get in the gym with you guys and stuff like that? Like the guys,
Yeah.
clearly could still play, it feels like. But what was your favorite, like makes him kind of unique as a coach?
Yeah, he's awesome. Super great. Obviously, like I said, he's super grateful that he gave me an opportunity to play in the NHL. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you got it right there. Like just how his work ethic still. I mean, not necessarily on the ice. He doesn't really skate with us too much, but he'll be in the gym and he's working out every single day. I'm like, this guy is insane. Like, I cannot believe he's doing this at that age. I'm like thinking, if I ever get to that age, like, am I going to be doing that? I'm like, probably not. I'm probably just going to be on the elliptical watching football or something like that, not doing full body workouts. But, just his work ethic now. And I mean, like you said, I think if he could still play, he would definitely go out there with the boys and do as much as he could. But, just a great coach. Definitely the best coach I think I've ever had. And, super special to have him.
Can the boys hang with him in the weight room, or like is he just like a freak?
No, he's a freak. I mean, maybe a couple guys like maybe Svetchy or something like that. I mean, but no, he's probably in better shape than me, honestly, I would say. But just a freak in the weight room.
So you obviously mentioned the OT winner in high school was the best goal. Does it beat your playoff goal you scored, like your first playoff goal in the NHL? Like,
yeah,
that'd be a cool moment, though. I mean, obviously to have that.
Yeah, I mean, if you watched it and saw the celly, I was pretty pumped up on that one. I mean, just to score this game 5, and I was like, is it gonna come? Like, a little bit, you're kind of thinking that, but when it did, I mean, I was fired up after that one. I mean, I don't know if it beats it. I don't think anything will beat the double OT one, but that one is just right up there for sure.
Did the storm surge thing catch you off guard when you first got involved and like technically how to do it? Like, did that kind of? It's not going to the bench, the student section, but it's like it's something different.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I knew how to do it because it's a Skull, Minnesota thing, right? I'm a Viking fan right there, but no, I've seen, you see videos on that on like Instagram and stuff like that from the NHL posting that, and them doing stuff like that. But I think it's pretty creative and it's a fun thing for the fans for sure.
One last one from me. Like you go from before last season, a lot of people thinking you'd be going to Chicago, right? To like last summer, you get offered a mega extension, right? That life-changing kind of money. Just like what's that like? Do you think, okay, well, I'll take it right away, or like you're like, oh, let's see how it goes, going forward. If I can play my game up to the next level, you see the salary cap going up and up.
Yeah. After the year, I kind of talked with Eric, and it seemed like they kind of wanted to get something done before the year, and obviously I waited a little bit to after they offered me, and it's a really big decision, right? I mean, 9 year. I mean, it's 8 years, but I have this year too, so 9 years of hockey. I'm like, I was kind of thinking of like if I can even remember 9 years ago, right? It's a long time, and I mean, I know it's gonna probably go by quick, but that's a lot of your career right there, and it took me a lot of thinking. I was thinking about it every single day for pretty much the whole summer until I signed the deal, and I was my dad was obviously, in my ear too and telling me kind of his thoughts and perspective on it and stuff like that. And, it is, like you said, it's life changing. I decided to do it, and obviously happy I can hopefully be here for the next 9 years.
And I mean, I think a big part that makes that a lot easier, I'm sure, like going off of the storm surge and Rod, the Carolina Hurricanes, there's teams. Carolina Hurricanes feel like a club. Like it's a really like tight group of guys, have fun. Like what is the locker room culture, and like who are some of the guys that kind of stand out and lead the charge on that?
Yeah, I mean, great locker room. Usually when you're on teams, you can kind of pick a guy or two you're like, something a little bit off with him or something like that. But you walk into our locker room, there's none of them. Every guy is so good. And, I was the only rookie for a lot of the year last year. And to have, those guys help me and, have guys like, the younger guys for sure. When I first got there, like Jack Jury, obviously not here anymore, but, really good to me. And, I've grown really tight with Stankoven since he got here last year, just because we're same age. We roomed together on the road, and Jarvie, KK, Svechi, all these younger guys, kind of. But I've been in the league for a long time. Have helped me a lot. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a pretty loud locker room. Like Ghost, Marty, Jord, all those guys. A little bit the older guys who have been in the league a lot. Definitely talk a lot in the locker room, and KK, I would say, is talks a lot, and he's the funniest. He's a great, best locker room guy I've ever been with. So super happy to have those guys.
He was among the list, but Seth Jarvis is a guy that just, like, I don't know, as an outside observer, every time he does any media availability, I'm like dialed in, because he's just such an interesting cat to listen to. Like, is that how he is with you guys on the day-to-day, or is that just how he presents himself to media?
Nope, that's him right there. He's not going to change for anyone. I mean, and I love that about him. That guy, he'll say what's on his mind, and I think that's what makes him so good, right? He's fearless. Whether it's the media or whether he's going in the corners, he's the same Seth Jarvis.
You mentioned talking with the middle stats about your driver. What's your golf game like? What's your
my golf? I mean, I would say all of our golf games are pretty good. I mean, we have a whole group, like Ben Steves, he plays in Charlotte. Mason Langenbrunner plays in Harvard. Carter Batchelder, he plays at. These are all our high school guys, and speaking on Eden Prairie, like all of us played together, and now we're all still playing, which is super, super cool, and we're still working out together and golfing together. But yeah, I mean, our golf games are all pretty good. I would say, I mean, everyone except Batchy is below probably a 4 or 5 handicap. I mean, we play every day though, so there shouldn't be an excuse to, we have to be good, right? So, but no, we have some good competitive battles in the summer, and we're always competing, which is awesome.
So who's the stick?
I mean, I would say it really depends on the day. I mean, handicap wise, I think probably Ben Steves. He's probably like a 1. I mean, I'm a 2. We have a great group. Mason's really good. Kooks is good. John's good. Everyone's good. So, I mean, it really depends on the day. Anyone can beat anyone.
Final question, brought to you as always by our good friends at Waggle Golf. First, make sure you head over to getyourwaggleon.com. Throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order.
Jackson, I'm going to have you give me 3 names. We're going to make up your dream golf foursome. And it can be celebrity, athlete, dead or alive, fictional, for all I care. Just give me 3 people you'd like to be out on the course with for a day.
Jennifer Aniston, whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
Jennifer Aniston. No. I think first would definitely be Tiger. Give me some tips. That would be awesome. And then maybe Kevin Hart, lighten the mood a little bit. It'd be great to have him out there. I've seen him on a couple YouTube videos playing golf. I think one was with Bryson DeChambeau. He's like his caddy or something like that. That would be super fun to have those 2. And then one more. Oh, man, maybe like Scotty Scheffler too. I mean, 2 golfers, but
yeah,
just have 2 elite knowledge golfers, and to maybe pick up some stuff on the round, and then maybe have Kevin to ride in the cart with, or like lighten the mood a little bit. Throw some chirps around would be awesome. So those 3 would be super fun to play with.
Yeah, Tiger's a classic. Scheffler's obviously come up more recently, and I think it was actually I met up with Brock Faber at the Gopher Alumni Golf Tournament, and I'm like, who would you pick? And he's like, I'll just take 2 of my buddies and Scheffler, and I want to see if we can best ball beat him.
Yeah, that's a good plan too. I like that. That would be fun.
Kevin Hart, though, anything in particular of his? Because like, I'm kind of hit or miss on him. Like, some of his movies, I think he's great. Some I'm like, all right, you're kind of annoying me.
Yeah, I mean, he's my favorite I think, actor of all time. I mean, in every single movie that I've watched, he's
Nice.
just been so funny. And I mean, his stand-up comedy is unbelievable. So,
Roast hosting too.
Yep, love him. Love him. He's awesome.
Well, thanks so much, Jackson. I appreciate you doing this. Great to get to know you a little bit better and give some love to Minnesota hockey, which I'm sure the listeners will enjoy that clip. But thanks again for the time, and best of luck the rest of the season. We'll see you, I'm sure, in the playoffs.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, Joe. We talked about it before the interview. Gotta get a little bit of a tease here because I know you've got a new article coming out this week. A sit down you had with one Charlie Stramel, who went from being what's the opposite of fan favorite? I don't even know when he was drafted to now fans being like, oh, I need to go back and delete a lot of things I said.
Yeah, it's been really impressive. I went to Madison last week to see him play, coincidentally, the Badgers, team he used to play for before transferring to Michigan State. Obviously, a great game between two really good teams, and Charlie had a heck of a goal, ended up being the game winner, going from coast to coast and making a highlight reel move through the middle, and then slamming the glass there at the fans a little bit, kind of having fun with it. But talk to him and Nightingale and some players and even some Wisconsin teammates about him and what he's been able to do. And really, it looks like a guy who has his confidence and swagger back, and it really allowed him to play the kind of power forward game that made him such a high level prospect and first round pick to begin with coming out of the program in Michigan. So, I think that's a great news for him, for Minnesota Wild, because he will be signing or be turning pro after this season, whether it's the Frozen Four or Big Ten tournament, and just a matter of where he goes, whether it's the Wild or Iowa or whatnot. But this certainly looks more like the guy that why the Wild, drafted him in the first round a few years back, and less like the guy who was playing fourth line or limited minutes for Hastings in Wisconsin a few years ago, and really kind of wondering what'll happen. Will he get signed? What's going to happen to him? And give a lot of credit to him and the staff at Michigan State. He really transformed his body and got a lot better shape and a lot of play. You watch him skate that you never think you're like, oh, this guy's a fourth line center. Like, guy was moving. He's at many times in many games this year, Nightingale said he's been their best player and driver. So, and he plays on a line with Porter, Martone. So, and he played with Isaac Howard last year too. So he can play with really good players.
Can play with really good players. Nightingale said, like, he's never had a player like Charlie Stramel that can play the net front the way he does. It's something to watch.
And I know it's college hockey, but he's just a physical force. He's a physical presence, and that's what you need up the middle six, bottom six, whatever it turns out to be. And I don't know what he'll end up being, but it certainly feels like he's a guy who could play in the NHL, just a matter of when and what role.
And you've been getting your fill of college hockey. You went out and made the trip to Wisconsin to see the Charlie Stramel revenge game. Then you made it out to see your alma mater, Michigan, basically wax the Gophers. Unfortunate. I mean, it's an unfortunate season as a whole, and you can blame a lot of things like that. The schedule was definitely not helpful, but there's a lot here that it just hasn't panned out the way we expected either. And Rob Motzko flat out said, like, I like my team. I do not like our record, but like, I'm not going to lie to you and sugarcoat it if it's a bad team. It's not. We're just not. It's just not clicking for some reason. Like, did anything stand out to you, or like, what did you see in your at least one game glimpse of the Gophers?
And again, like that Friday game, I think they outshot them 52-18 or something like that, which was a little crazy in that respect. They had good goaltending early. Excuse me. But Moscow didn't like second half of the game, the effort, execution, right? He's like, Michigan didn't just overall beat us. We gave it to them. We fed them with the way they were playing with the puck and turning the puck over. And so Minnesota's not a deep enough team at this point to just outskill teams and to just go out there and they could outlast teams. They got to use their work ethic. They got to use the chemistry and like in the group that they had. They do have some really good players on that team, and the goaltending hasn't been awful. So I think overall they lost in overtime on Saturday night to Michigan in that game. So this is a really crucial stretch for them. I think about what they probably have to win the tournament, Big Ten tournament, to make the playoffs. So, they still have time to get their game together, and you never know what could happen in the Big Ten tournament. But that was, I thought, was going to be a measuring stick moment for them against Michigan coming out of the Christmas time. So we'll see. But Michigan, I mean, they've been the best team, I think, and then you lose your starting goalie, which has always been their question mark the last 5, 6, 7 years. So that was a big blow for them. If they play like they did on Friday night, they won't need to have a really good goalie the way they played and peppered them with shots. But Michigan State's a terrific team. Wisconsin scrap. They don't have a lot of top high end prospects, but they're just a really strong overall group. And so we'll see the Dakotas and other teams coming through as well. But that, pretty much a class of hockey I watched in 2 straight days with Michigan State, and Wisconsin.
Yeah, what's more daunting, the top of the Central Division or the Big Ten? It's pretty crazy what it's turned out to this year. And it's, again, the Gophers, I don't think this is a bad team. But if you told me at the beginning of the year that they wouldn't even sniff top 4 in the conference, I would have been like, wait, what? I would not have believed you.
Well, I think Lunani said it other day on the radio. He's like, it's obviously disappointing and they're not have the year that you want to, but this could be one of those years where you have a down year to go back up. Like, they're a young team. They could have a year the next year where they make another step forward, right? So it's like, just because a team has a bad year doesn't mean they're a bad team or that they're going downward spiral as a program. Like, this is where you can figure out, if you're Bob Moskow, like, how could you use the portal? Guys that want to come in and play roles. Like, they haven't been a huge user of the portal as much. They have at times, but they haven't been like the biggest user among other college hockey programs. So this could be an option for that. But also other younger guys get better, bigger roles and step in. They won't have the exodus that they had last year. You could argue if they would have kept a couple of those guys, Oliver Moore or whoever else, they might have had a different look to it. But so yeah, I don't, like Bob said, I don't think there's a reason you don't like this team. I just think overall they're not as deep or as powerful enough to just be able to win with their C game. They've got to be able to bring it in order to beat, especially high-level teams like Michigan.
And it doesn't get any easier as they travel to play Charlie Stramel and Michigan State this weekend, who is every bit as good as Michigan. They get every opportunity to prove themselves now down the stretch. It's just going to be really hard to prove yourself down the stretch.
It really is, but a lot of hockey left. But obviously, you can see who the class of the college hockey are already over through the course of the season. And then it's just a matter of, for the other teams that aren't quite that level yet, they can start getting their game up and start peaking at the right time. All it takes is one good or one bad night for that to change.
For sure. And so we already talked about the Charlie Stramel feature that's coming out this week. I know you're in Iowa and you're taking care of your annual trip to just do some housekeeping, figure out what the workings are down in Des Moines. Anything else that listeners need to be tuning in for the next couple days, week or so, whatever?
Yeah, just correction slightly. I'm not in Iowa because they had most of the teams already with the Wild. They have like a lot of the top guys are been called up. So that changed the plan for a different week. But I will be going to Hastings to see a lot of the guys that are there on Thursday ahead of the outdoor game for Iowa on Hockey Day, Minnesota weekend. So I will be seeing Greg Cronin and some of the guys who are still there. But I need to postpone the trip until a lot of the guys that we want to talk to will be with Iowa, and most of them now are obviously playing with the Minnesota Wild because they need them from an injury. So that's what you say. Every day is different in this league, right? So that's what you find out.
Yes. All right. That's fair. All right. Good correction. Anything else then that you are working on that's coming out soon, since obviously the Iowa stuff has been shelved?
Yeah, well, we'll be kind of an off Wild story, but we'll be going to Tampa next week for the outdoor game. Since I asked about it for every year for 10 years while I was covering the Lightning when they have an outdoor game in Tampa. Now they're actually doing the freaking thing. Be cool to see this engineering marvel, as Gary Bettman calls it, of the tent over the ice and lifting it up, taking it away hours before the game, like the ultimate reveal of a hockey rink, right? It's a pretty cool and pretty wild thing. So that's kind of an off the wild topic that I will be working on. Nice.
Back to the roots. Well, another week, more Minnesota news. I'm sure next week we'll have more players back, more players hurt. It just doesn't stop. But appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, make sure you check us out, whether it's on audio or do subscribe over at YouTube if you do either want to see us talking. I've never understood that personally, but there's people that like just watch and talk. We've got highlight reels. We've got different segment features throughout the channel. And otherwise, we'll be back here next week doing the same thing. Stay classy, stay to hockey.